Yes, sir. Finally, bro. I know y'all been really asking about this for a lot, man. Like it's been a long time coming, but we finally got this podcast thing going. A lot of times, man, I felt so kind of, absent, man. I felt so lost, but we here. My main goal with this, man, is to kind of bring a lot of people in to kind of tell them their life story, right? So that leads me obviously to the next point of the whole process of this podcast, the name, the future, right? So my thing is I don't want anybody to come in this room and kind of feel like something is off limits to not talk about. I'm authentic, I'm real, I tell the truth. I also love, hearing other people's stories. So the name of this podcast specifically, I put a poll up on Instagram and a lot of people was trying to decide between two names. But the name came from the heart, man. It's going to be called Off Limits Podcast. It's amazing just because I feel like it's kind of like that reverse psychology. I don't want anything to feel, once you step in this room, it's off limits. Everything is going to be talked about, my life story from where I was at to where I'm at now, a lot of laugh, a lot of giggles, a lot of information that can possibly help somebody else. It's different, man, because not everybody out there can really, thrive and be successful. A lot of things take a lot of hard work and a long time to really achieve, but if you keep your mind straight and everything, you can be successful. First of all, I just want to say thank God, man, because dude, it's amazing that you get put in a position to where you can really, really, really speak, not only through social media, but through so many different, opportunities in life. You can be put in front of people that you wouldn't even know. So with that being said, let's just get started, man. Kind of giving y'all a backstory about me. I go by Daquan or DQ if you don't know. If you're new, following, follow along this journey. It's going to be something different. It's going to be amazing. Kind of just giving you a backstory for me. I grew up in a poor dump old town called Waterloo, Iowa. Lived there up until I was really, I would say around 22, 23. Kind of moved back and forth from, other small towns nearby, but Waterloo, Iowa is the bread and butter of where everything kind of took place. My life story is different, man. Like I grew up really looking at crime and criminalization to where I thought it was normal to see certain things. I grew up seeing, murder, rape, my sister getting molested right in front of me. And I'm talking to straight facts. So I grew up seeing all of those things, thinking that it was normal, coming home to seeing, my mom get abused or, my biological dad was never there. He was gone. He was in prison ever since I was little. So, I never really had that father figure in my life until a certain age. And, I'll get to that aspect too as well. But I grew up seeing a lot of that stuff, thinking that it was normal to where I'm like, okay, how am I not mentally fucked? How am I not mentally ill? Seeing a lot of things to where I would come home and I'm like, okay, this is exciting to see. Coming home, seeing my mom get abused, bro, was like, I was like 12, 13 years old fighting grown adults that she would have over, or going to my sister's man's house, beating him up because he done put his hands on my sister or something like that. I'm telling you, I'm going to get raw and gritty with it. So, bro, trust me, it's going to get different. It's going to, I'm telling my story. And what God gave me is meant for people to hear, because I'm going to also give y'all the negatives, but I'm going to give y'all the positives on, how to, at least be successful, how to put yourself in certain positions to where you can overcome something. I'm not perfect. I'm not the richest. I'm not the, the most handsome guy in the room, but I promise you, I'm gonna go 10 to toe, toe to toe with anybody. I'm gonna go 10 toes down at any day, any cost. Right. And with my mindset, I believe that God gave me the ability to speak. What my pastor always told me was, you have a voice and I want you to voice it. So my time in Waterloo, Iowa had to come to an end just because I was bound to, to so much. I couldn't do anything else other than, still go talk to other kids at my middle school or go talk to, kids at my high school. But when it comes to career wise, bro, I was stopped short a lot. But kind of back to the whole family situation in general, right? So my biological dad, he was kind of gone, and well, he kind of wasn't. He really was. He was really just gone my whole life. I'm gonna be bluntly honest with it. And my mom, she was there. She did the best she could for sure. But what we gotta focus on is not just those negatives, but how did that create a positive story for me too as well, which we'll get to. But my mom, like coming home, seeing her get abused a lot, and then kind of going to her savior to kind of help her, out of those situations, put me in, criminal situations, bro. Like at a minor, I'm talking young, I'm talking about so young to where at 12 years old, I was looking at a long time in juvie if I didn't complete all these, tasks that I was supposed to. I was like maybe 13, 14 on actual adult probation, bro. Just by hanging around the wrong people, for real. It's not even necessarily just hanging around the wrong people, but not being aware of my actions as if they were actually wrong, bro. I thought everything that I was doing was the way to go. I thought that everything was 100%, the easiest route to go was to do what I was doing. I didn't really, I had people there that was influencing me in the right way, but it wasn't really enough. But the moral of the story is, in general, and I'm gonna get too much, I'm not gonna get too much into it because I want to be able to tell this story still, but with another person next to me to where, you guys can get both sides, of the story and both sides from opinionated wise and things like that. So, with the story in general, just know, like, growing up, all that negative stuff that we see as adults now, I seen it, I've been through it, I was there. I witnessed a lot, been through a lot, to where it's like, okay, how am I not mentally fucked? Like, and I thank God, like, honestly, but I would grow up and come home and see my mom try to, really like commit suicide. And don't think that I'm just airing business out without them knowing either. My mom, she, I mentioned this process to her, like, okay, well, this is what I'm about to create. And like, I'm talking about my life story, no disrespect to anybody out there, but I don't need nobody opinion or nobody validated answer to tell my story. I'm going to tell my story. I'm going to tell exactly that. I'm going to tell everything. I don't need nobody opinion because nobody else can really explain it on how I've been through it. But just know that, eventually my goal is to bring them on the podcast too and get their point of view. It's not going to be all sad and all. No, it's going to be a lot of giggles, a lot of seriousness, sadness, everything, because my life wasn't just all bad. My life is great. It's amazing right now for sure. But how I got to this point, I think a lot of y'all could help, and a lot of y'all could benefit from, some information, because there's people out there struggling. You never know what, someone will be going through to where it could affect their daily life, bro. So growing up, man, it was just different, right? I got 4 kids, 2 boys, 2 girls, bro. My oldest is 9, my youngest is 2. It goes boy, girl, boy, girl. So I ain't trying to break that. I'm trying to keep that, all equal. So 4 is enough for me. I'm good. I'm done. I'm 27. I'm like, nah, I'm good. But, kind of just letting them, when they grow up and kind of are ready to hear that story and hear that, that type of lifestyle that I lived, and seeing the world now, bro. Oh man, I got hope. But this generation different. Like, these mugs is different. Like, they just hard-headed, stubborn, thinking they know best. So it's like, and another thing like that I want to talk about too, like, I'm 27 and I'm thinking, like, who the hell is going to be like our old heads of my generation? Like, who is going to be the old heads? You know how like at our age we can go to like adults and we can get some real wisdom. Bro, you go to somebody my age in my category, they ain't gonna give you nothing but some bullshit. So it's like, it's really just hard, and really just kind of, keeping that mindset of like, okay, How can I provide for others? How can I give people that juice, that motivation, right? So my goal is to not only just talk in this podcast, but I want to go, talk to schools here, go to men's and women's facilities, go everywhere that I did in Waterloo, Iowa, but here in Vegas. If you don't know, that's where I, moved from. I moved from Iowa to Vegas. And the life in Vegas so far, I've been here going on 2 years now. The life in Vegas, man, is different. I'm not gonna lie. I'm used to being around snow and farmers, bro. Ain't none of that here. None of it. So it's like, okay, well, the lifestyle that I live in Iowa and how it made me comfortable here in Vegas still plays a role, bro. Like, I'm gonna be honest, like, when I was first kind of growing up, seeing some real money, bro, living in like the suburbs made me hella uncomfortable. I'm gonna be honest. Like, I was more comfortable in the hood than I was in them rich areas. Like, don't get me wrong, like, it was peaceful, but like I felt like I was being judged. I was out of place. I felt more comfortable walking in the hood because I was safe. Like, it was, man, to this day, sometimes I'm still like that. I'm going to be bluntly honest with y'all. Like, sometimes I still walk through some suburban areas and be like, dang, like, am I supposed to be here? Type energy. But yeah, bro, what I want to do is really just bring people on. Like, some of my closest friends to this day is really like motivational. Like, some of my best friends are famous people. Like, and I never would have had that opportunity if I lived in Iowa. Like, don't get it twisted. Like, I made the best out of every opportunity that I could in Iowa, but the opportunities that I made here in Vegas, just by being in certain environments, is nuts. Like, one of my role models, man, and shout out to the name I'm about to say. His name is Javion, man. Shout out to Javion. He's a GM for Fremont Street Security Experience. When I first got here, that was my first job. I was security officer on Fremont, and that position was different. But he was one of those role models that, as a black man being in a GM of a major corporation, bro, has so much knowledge and power. Dude funny. So that's gonna be I just gave y'all some juice. I'm snitching already, but I just gave y'all a gem. I'm gonna, bring him onto the podcast too as well. Some of my closest friends are casino owners, professional athletes. It's so many people that I met and that I connect with and still kind of talk to throughout the week, usually not every day, but I connect with to where they're like, okay, like, yeah, this dude, you got to do it. You got to do it. And they actually helped me get this kind of going too, like kind of put that fuel in me. Like, bro, just keep going. Go get this. Go do it. Go do it. You got the money. Go buy this camera. You got the money. Go buy the setup, the podcast setup, and, my main goal is not to be 100%, financially stable, I should say, because that wasn't the goal into creating this podcast. Don't get me wrong, like, being financially successful from a podcast and other outreach platforms in general is definitely the goal, or kind of creating that generational wealth is what a lot of us call it. But my main goal is to let people hear my story and help them be in a better position, and, put them in a better position by just telling my story, giving my opinion, giving my ideas, listening into their ideas, bringing them on here to where once you step in this room, nothing is off limits. Everything is going to be talked about. Everything is going to kind of be, communicated, like I said before. But what I really want to do, man, is just get my story out there first and really just let people hear it. Let people really focus on what I'm about to be in tune with. This is just the beginning. This is just a goal. But before that topic, man, I do want to give a special shout out to my wife, my everything, Sadie, man, because without her kind of also kicking me in the butt every day and seeing like how much work that I put in, bro, I don't know where I would be. I'm gonna be honest, man. And sometimes in life, we take a lot for granted. And it's like, okay, seeing her wake up every day, go to work, and she doesn't really like, she enjoys it and everything like that, but it's not what she wants to do 100%. Like, oh, that just makes me grind even harder, for real. Don't get me wrong. Like, we financially good, but not where we want to be at. But, you know, the whole process, man, is changing your mindset, changing your poverty mindset. And shout out to Eric Thomas, man. That's the #1 motivational speaker in the world. You know, listening to him growing up really helped too as well. And they actually have a podcast. And I listen to them, you know, kind of daily or weekly, and see how I can keep fueling myself. But as a young man, as a young individual, you know, just showing, you know, grace and everything like that, I just want to say thank you. I love you, Sadie. The road is definitely, you know, different, but we really love it. We really love it. One thing that I want to focus on is another story of, you know, bringing her into this environment, bringing her into this, you know, conversation type, to where we can get not only a male perspective, but a female perspective. That's going to be the craziest, you know, kind of combination. A lot of negativity, a lot of, you know, kind of, you know, information around both sides from genders is definitely amazing. But what we're going to do is really focus on both sides. A lot of laughter, a lot of giggles, everything, man. We're doing the whole 9 yards. My plan is to kind of, you know, update my podcast room too as well. You know, kind of add some more touches to this stuff and make this really home. I'm doing this out of my home. If y'all didn't know, I'm doing this out of my safe space. So bringing people in here to talk on this podcast is not going to be easy. I'm going to be honest, but it's also going to be people that I trust. It's going to be people that I know. It's going to be people that I'm cool with. Shoot, it might be people that I'm not cool with. That sounds crazy, but not necessarily, you know, hating each other, but that I may not fully know. It's just, you know, completely different. But I'm bringing everybody in here to talk about, you know, their success from where they're at versus to where they're at now, man. Is definitely different. It's going to be that great story that everyone loves and listens to. But one thing we want to focus on is really just getting the message out there. That's the biggest thing. One thing we got to do is just get y'all feedback. So you see this podcast, videos are going to be up, you know, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, while we still have it, Twitter, everything, all of that, you know, share, comment. I want to see y'all comments. I want to hear y'all comments. I want to hear y'all feedback. It doesn't matter what profession you're in or anything like that. Like, I want to hear it. Like, literally, I want to hear the feedback, because that's what's going to help. You know, certain topics y'all want me to touch on it. Like, leave a comment, message me directly and be like, hey, what do you feel about this? I, you know, most likely will touch it on the next podcast. I plan on, you know, uploading, you know, from the time start and things like that. You know, I plan on uploading, you know, maybe, you know, weekly too as well, to a certain schedule. I want to get as much content out there as possible. Definitely while we can. But if y'all have any questions, y'all have any, you know, kind of topics y'all would want to talk about more, just let me know. Just let me, you know, kind of, you know, see what y'all opinion is, and we're going to work. But other than that, like I said, welcome to the podcast, Off Limit Podcast. I'm the host, DQ. Bro, just like, comment, share, subscribe, all of that. We it's only up from here. But I can't do this without y'all help too as well. Get that story out there. Let me hear y'all story, and let's work. Thank you. Peace.